During the height of shoujo's popularity, Vampire Knight was one of the shows that so many people were tuning in for. And there was a good reason for it. The premise of the show was pretty simple. It was about a human girl with a mysterious past who's stuck between two hot vampires. I mean, what else do you want, right? I wish it was actually that simple. Vampire Knight had everything going for it, and somehow everything went wrong. And today we're gonna talk about it. Well, at least I'm gonna talk about it, and you guys, you listen. Initially, I was gonna make this video a few months ago because I had reread and rewatched the entirety of Vampire Knight. But then every time I sat down to just write down the script and all of my points, it just never felt right because at that time my idea was to explain the entire world built within the show and then go into the story. And I realized that for a show like Vampire Knight, to explain everything that went wrong with it, you actually don't need an understanding of the world. You don't need any world building. So we're just gonna look at the broad strokes of it all. And at the end of this, if your curiosity is piqued, you can watch the anime or read the manga. Personally, I'd recommend running away. Seriously, don't do this to yourself. And if you decide to do this to yourself, I can't be held responsible. Understood? Okay? Good. Now with the warnings out of the way, let's get started. Before I really start breaking down all the issues I had with Vampire Knight, I'm first gonna give you guys a basic outline of the plot. So this way, even if you aren't familiar with the anime or the manga, it'll help you understand why this video is titled the way it is. So, Vampire Knight is the story of a girl named Yuki Cross. A girl with a mysterious past. She has no memories of who she is or where she comes from, and all she remembers is wandering around in a snowy night as a child and being attacked by a vampire. However, before anything bad can happen, she was saved by another vampire named Kaname Kuran, who goes on to become like a protector of sorts, and also her first love. Seems like a pretty simple premise, right? Oh, honey, you don't even know. Apart from Yuki, the other two main characters of the show are Kaname and Yuki's childhood friend Zero. The only difference is that Kaname is a pure-blood vampire, which means he was born an overgrown mosquito who preys on human blood. While Zero, on the other hand, was turned into a vampire. Why does this information matter? We'll get there, I promise. And of course, there are other characters within the story, but they really aren't relevant to everything that goes on in Vampire Knight. And another thing about the story is that it's set in high school, but again, it's not important here. Trust me. So yeah, with this, you have an idea of what the story premise is, so we can start talking about what really matters. All the problems with Vampire Knight. Despite the supernatural elements, at its core, Vampire Knight is a romance. Yuki from the beginning is in love with Kaname. She wants to be with him, but she can't, knowing that he has so many secrets that he refuses to share with her. And Kaname's actions don't make things easy because he keeps her close, he tells her he loves her, but he never really lets her in. He never really shows his true self to her. And then there's Zero, who has to be one of the most tragic characters in shoujo. This boy has lost everything. His parents, who were vampire hunters, were killed by vampires when he was a kid. His twin was taken away from him, and then he was turned into a vampire by the same people who killed his parents. And you would think, oh yeah, that's a pretty common story for anime protagonists. Hold on. So we've covered the fact that Zero is a human that was turned into a vampire. And in the world of Vampire Knight, humans who are turned into vampires eventually go mad because of bloodlust and have to be killed. And from the very first season, you can slowly see his decline. And the only person who can help him is Yuki by allowing him to drink her blood. And that's kind of how the story goes for the better part of the first season. It's pretty normal. Yuki is pulled between Kaname and Zero. Kaname wants to kill Zero, Yuki wants to save him, and Zero is kind of just like, he's there, suffering. My poor boy. And of course, the main thing that most viewers wanted to know, who would Yuki choose? Would she go with Kaname, her first love, or would she go with Zero, her childhood best friend? And in my opinion, the answer was always Zero. He is the superior choice, but I digress. So yeah, season 1, it's pretty normal. It has a drama, it has romance, and moments that make you either want Kaname or Zero. Pretty much stuff that happens in most shoujo. But then season 2 comes around, and that's where everything just starts going wrong. Season 2 of Vampire Knight, also known as Vampire Knight Guilty, is focused on Yuki's past. So we know that she was found in a snowy night, all alone, wandering around, and she gets attacked by a vampire. She has no memories of her past, she doesn't know who her family is, she didn't even know who she is. So we slowly start to learn where she comes from. The second season basically shows Yuki as she slowly starts losing her mind. Every time she's alone, she has visions of blood. And around this time, Kaname becomes super protective of her and he starts parading her around as his girlfriend. And of course, for people who shipped Kaname and Yuki, this was the best thing that ever happened. But then, episode 20, titled The Kiss of Thorns, came out, and it all fell apart. In this episode, Yuki's hallucinations get worse, so Kaname feeds her his blood. And it seems like he's going to turn her into a vampire. And when Zero sees this, he attacks Kaname. But then, Yuki wakes up, and she says the words that ruined everything.
This man, he's my older brother.
Huh?
Yep. The Kaname Kuran, the love interest that everyone was fawning over. The man who has been romancing Yuki. He turns out to be her brother. Which means that Yuki has always been a vampire, which was shocking in itself. I mean, you could also say that, oh, I saw that coming, but I don't think you saw Kaname's reveal coming. I don't think anyone did at this point. I get that the writer was going for some shock value, something that nobody would expect, a plot twist that would blow everyone's mind. But we didn't need to Sweet Home Alabama this shit. But what the hell do I know? One thing that probably kept people watching, I mean, it kept me watching, was Kaname saying that he wished that he was really born as Yuki's brother. It's a weird thing to wish for. Let me just get that out of the way. Like, why the hell would you want that? But at least it implied that he's not actually her brother. So a little ray of sunshine in the incest darkness, right? Wrong. The Vampire Knight anime ended with season 2, and it never really concluded all the storylines that were presented. While Yuki is turned into a vampire, she never really chooses between Zero or Kaname, and we never really get to know what the hell is really going on with Kaname. I think one of the main reasons why this happened was because the manga was still releasing new chapters. So while they may have been hoping to be picked up for a season 3, by the time the manga ended, it was too late. So it never happened. And the manga, oh boy, the manga. I wish it just ended with the season 2 arc. The reveal that Kaname was Yuki's older brother was bad enough, but the mangaka was like, hold my beer. And boy did they go off. As the story goes on in the manga, it is revealed that Kaname isn't actually Yuki's brother. Yay! No, he's actually her great ancestor. Yup. The man that our main lead has been in love with her whole life turned out to be her great something grandfather. According to the story, it was pretty common for pureblood vampires to marry their siblings to maintain the purity of their blood. So Yuki's parents, Haruka and Juri, were actually siblings themselves. And before her, they had a son. But that child didn't survive because Yuki's uncle, who was in love with Juri, who was, his sister, took the child and killed him, using his blood to wake up Kaname, who at the time was in a deep sleep. Just a typical Sunday morning for a normal family. Anyway, Kaname felt so bad about what happened, he transformed into a child and erased his memories and pretended to be Haruka and Juri's son. So that's why when Yuki was born, she always assumed that Kaname was her brother. So when she finds out that he's not actually her brother, it's very shocking. And you'd think that after Yuki learns that Kaname is basically her grandfather, she'd stop pursuing him. But nah, this girl was determined to get with that gilf. There's a lot that happens story-wise that I glossed over, so if you'd really like to get the nitty-gritty details, you'll just have to read the manga. But Vampire Knight basically ends in a very weird way. You see, Kaname is an old guy. He's been around for thousands of years, and boy does he have issues. And while the demons in his head convinced him that getting with his sister/great-granddaughter would get rid of his depression, it did not. So he goes around killing other purebloods because he wants to create an anti-vampire weapon. And to do this, he wants to use his own heart. Yuki and the others, of course, want to stop him because they're like, hey, there's so much good in the world and, your ancestors wouldn't want this. A lot of bullshit happens during this time, and yes, I'm glossing over the plot again. But anyways, among the bullshit that happens during this time, Kaname and Yuki get together and she gets pregnant with his child. Yes, you heard that right. I told you. If you think it's bad now, it's going to get worse. Anyway, around the end of the story, Kaname is put into a deep sleep. Yuki gets together with Zero, and she has Kaname's child, and then the epilogue happens. Oh lord. In the epilogue, after living with Zero for years, Yuki returns to where Kaname is sleeping and decides to use her heart to turn him human, so that he can experience the world the way she once did. By this time, Zero has passed away, and I told you guys, right, that Zero was turned into a vampire, so that would mean, logically, that would mean he's an immortal. But if he has passed away, that means that he eventually went mad and had to be put down. Anyways, by this point in the story, Yuki has 2 daughters. Her daughter with Kaname, Ai, and her daughter with Zero named Ren. So she kind of basically hands the responsibility of Kaname to her daughters and uses her heart to turn him human. When this happens, she basically dies. It is said that she is living on inside Kaname within his heart, but in my head she's dead. So yeah, that's how Vampire Night ends. 2 of the main characters die, and Yuki's sacrifice is supposed to be bittersweet or something, but my god. After all the plot twists and reveals, it's hard to feel a thing when she passes away. And that's Vampire Night basically. A story that started out so normal, so shoujo, and then it ventured into territories that nobody could see coming. If I had a coin for every time a couple in a show I was watching was revealed to be related to each other, I would have 3 coins, which isn't a lot, but why has it happened 3 times? What are you guys doing? I'm scared. Oh god, well anyways, these are my thoughts on Vampire Nights and everything that went wrong with it. Usually at the end of videos like this, I like to share ways with which the story could be improved, but with this one, yeah, I can't do that. Just thinking about the story is so mentally taxing, I'm gonna need therapy. So, I mean, removing the incest would be a great starting point. Anyways, I'd personally recommend only watching Vampire Night if you hate yourself and need a little more trauma in your life, but you do you. Anyways, that's gonna be the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and if there's another shoujo anime that you'd like me to cover, feel free to leave that in the comments and be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Sweetheart!